What you know you can't explain. But you feel it. You felt it your entire life. That there's something wrong. You don't know what it is, but it's there. Like a splinter in your mind, driving you mad. Experience the awakening. Brilliant anonymous researchers. Patriots, join us in the Patriot Army. Trust the plan, pain coming. Boom, boom, boom. Let's go. RedStateTalkRadio.com, Brighteon.tv, Rumble.com/MG Show. The end won't be for everyone. That choice to know will be yours. Where we go one, we go all. Fight, 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 and fight we will. We fight every day right here on the MG Show.
Welcome, 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 welcome. Welcome to MG Show on Rumble. Shady Groove, welcome to the show.
Much love to you, sir. Welcome to the show with the energy of 1,000 freight trains. We love every single one of you. Thank you so much for joining us here. It is Tuesday on the eve of a big weekend of winning. I know that, Jeff, they're trying to tell me they're telling me there's no kings. They're telling me that there's going to be all these protests. They're telling me that Donald Trump can't keep it together, but I have a sneaking suspicion that we are going to see law enforcement, ladies and gentlemen. That's what we want to see. More than anything, what Shady and Jeff want to see, we want to see law enforcement as this moves through, and we're starting to see exactly that. I'm encouraged.
Yeah, I am too. I mean, Dallas handled the situation. So in 2020, just remember, it was the summer of love, okay? Oh. And the police were given orders to stand down by the mayors, just like they did in L.A., let's just be honest. They stood down, and then they had to do what they had to do, because otherwise they're facing the Insurrection Act. Because if those people, said politicians in charge of the police force, stands down and can't handle their business, Donald Trump is not creating the riots, okay? ICE enforcement is there doing their duty, their job, okay? The protesters, paid for by foreign and domestic billionaires, are the ones creating the violence. And for these people, so this is what it is. It's a battle of the narratives, guys. It's a battle of the narratives, and they're losing, folks, because Trump is shooting up in the approval ratings, Shady.
It absolutely is. And not only that, we got to tick up in the people who say they're happy with the direction that the country is going. In the face of that, these people are doing what they're doing. And what you literally described, that is an insurrection. You do not have the option. Let me make this very clear for your friends and family who are going to be confused in the very near future. You do not have the option to choose to enforce some law and choose not to enforce laws you don't want to enforce. That is not America, okay? There is a set of rules, and if it is provable that anyone of any genre, race, sex, age, gender, whatever, you break the rules and you pay the consequence. That is America. That is what we're supposed. That's the only way you're going to fix people that are rule breakers, is if you punish them.
That's right. And I want to real quick, too, just for New Jersey, our New Jersey listeners, God bless you all. Get out and vote for Jack Cicarelli today. Is it Citarelli? I can never say his name correctly.
I say it bad too.
Ciattarelli. Citarelli. Jack Ciattarelli. Citarelli. Vote for Jack today because this is Mike Crispy. Says President Trump endorsed Jack for New Jersey, Jack Citarelli for New Jersey, and he will win the New Jersey governor primary by 25 points today. Okay, this was posted last night. It won't even be close. Any other message being peddled is silly. You want to win an election for the modern era in the modern era? You show real organized strength. You show loyalty to President Trump. If you differed with him in the past, you come clean about it early and don't hire the DeSantis Christie team like Spada did. Also, remember who is going against President Trump as well. General Flynn wants, and he even doubled down, Shady Groove, right after President Trump went and said complete and total endorsement for Jack Citarelli, who has his complete total endorsement. His opponents are going around saying they have my endorsement, which is not true. He has General Flynn's endorsement. Do not vote for Bill Spada. Vote for your president's choice, guys. You just remember, there's a history, okay? General Flynn went ahead and went against, after Trump said, I want J.D. Vance to win in Ohio, guess who went against J.D. Vance? General Flynn.
The same guy. And isn't it interesting? Isn't it interesting to see this all play out? And not to mention that, but the way that they're acting, like consistently that the person that Trump picks is not the priority. I don't get it, but this is consistent with these people. And they say, oh, well, no, well, this guy is this and that. No, we're choosing the guy that the Flynn network doesn't have its hook into. Do you realize that? The guy's hanging in, the Spadilla guy is hanging in the Flynn cult meat locker, and we're not bringing him out to thaw.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So President Trump's wants this person to win, and if you're a Trump supporter, that's who you want to win as well, Shady Groove. I mean, it's that simple.
Yes. So get out in New Jersey, get out and vote, get out and support
Jack Citarelli.
Citarelli, and we're hoping that we're going to have about a 20-point swing, and then we're going to see. Let me just prep the audience. Then you're going to see the meltdown. So all the digital operators out there, the Ann Vandersteels of the world, the Turning Point, or not Turning Point, but TPV, QAnon, John. All these people are going to flip out and talk about how the deep state won in New Jersey. Every time they lose, they say the deep state won. It's interesting.
It's weird. And Trump is the one that wants this person to win, okay?
Correct.
And remember, this guy, General Flynn went against J.D. Vance, your vice president today.
And I made the comment on your post the other day. We talk about these two events, but it's actually been a number of times that General Flynn has went against the other candidate, and he's literally batting zero. I was like, if we went to Vegas and bet the house every time General Flynn makes a pick against Trump, we would literally not have to do anything anymore.
Yeah. Eddie Mike, yes, submit that write-up for being late to HR. I appreciate that. M. Kell said, Roger Stone finally blocked me.
Good job.
Praying for peace. We got that. We got surprise Flynn hasn't been removed by now. Well, he kind of has. He's not in the administration. Isn't that called removed? Is that removed? That's removed. Mm-hmm. So we're going to move on to that. But I do have some interesting footage of General Flynn today on the Hill. Check this out, Shady.
And we have an army, as a soldier and as a general, as a retired general, we have an army of digital soldiers. What we are now, I call them, because this was an insurgency, folks. This was run like an insurgency. This was irregular warfare at its finest in politics.
That's damn good warfare.
That story will continue to be told here, but we have what we call citizen journalists.
Bunch of numbnuts.
Because the journalists that we have in our media did a disservice to themselves.
We'll just leave that there.
What happened?
So that was General Flynn today on the Hill. You see,
I'm having trouble gathering. I'm trying to gather steam here, bro. You're making it very difficult. I'm prepared for that.
Do you see how well it synced up too?
Man, I mean, it's like a window in time.
So the Army of Digital Soldiers of November of 2016 is when he said this, is defeat disinfo, guys. And they're the ones making all the fake Q posts and Q proofs, just like so Alex Jones can go ahead and call you a Q-tard.
But isn't that interesting now listening to it and starting to mock it a little bit? Because whenever we first heard that stuff during Q, and a number of you people, quite a lot of you people were with us when we first heard that, we took that seriously. We took that seriously. And now I'm sitting here thinking back about taking that seriously and understanding the gravity of what I'm listening to. I'm listening to a military general who's talking about activating online personalities so that they can control narratives within the online social media atmosphere and to drive wedges between people, to drive narratives at people, and then to raise a crap load of funding off of any time you move, you throw up another portal to have somebody throw some money into. You think about what he's saying right there, and it is a staggering admission of infiltration.
Yes, it is. I mean, it really is, man. And this is what I want to talk about real quick. Keep it up, AJ Rung. Again, more Q-tard lies. Let's just look at what he's talking about as a lie. Nasara, Jasara, all this person, GPQ, because they have the name Q in there. They're talking about not sustain debt any longer with cabal's fiat financial system dead. Trump and BRICS nations launched Nasara, Jasara on June 1, 2025. Q people don't talk about Nasara and Jasara. Q's never talked about it. You can't find a post about it. It's not true. It's a LARP. It's bullshit. I'm sorry, Shady. I just get pissed.
But you should really just kind of, I think you should take a second, since we're on the topic, Jeff. I'd like for you to just take a minute and read.
You want me to really read this?
Yeah, I do want you to read it, because I want the audience and the podcast and the people around the world to hear these things are Alex Jones psychological operations. These things have been introduced. So now what we just talked about with General Flynn and all those digital soldiers, Alex Jones has been doing that for decades. Okay, this is what he does. This is how he introduces. I am of the opinion that Nasara and Jasara and medbeds and quantum and all this other nonsense and
Jade Helm,
Austin Steinberg, Jade Helm, all of that stuff comes from Strat 4, comes from the military industrial complex. It's psychological operations to get you to be distracted in a way to where you go piping off to your friends and family and you sound like a blithering idiot.
That's right. So this is the post. It's finally happening at Julian Assange. The Black Swan event was in progress. The U.S., Canada, Europe, Japan, Israel, UK, Taiwan, Australia, and New Zealand could not sustain their debt any longer. With the cabal's fiat currency financial system dead, Trump and BRICS nations launched Nasara Jasara on Sunday, June 1st, 2025. From their Cheyenne Mountain Command Center, Trump's global military alliance was executing the largest military operation in history, with arrests, seizing gold, dismantling the globalist infrastructure, and obliterating the deep state. As of June 7th, 2025, the military phase shifted. The containment was over. The purge has begun.
So look at that. So all of those accounts, Real Raw News, all of the accounts that are online that said .news, whatever it is, JD Vance .news, all of these accounts that look like they're real accounts, but are these .news accounts. They're generating every single one of these narratives, and we can, to some degree, point and pinpoint almost each one of them to somebody that's connected to the Alex Jones and or the Flynn network. But then Alex Jones comes, and he makes the comment, oh, look at this. How many times did General Flynn post Black Swan? They all posted about Black Swan. That's the top of that post right there. Black Swan event. They think that this, what's coming up this weekend is a Black Swan event. These people are embedded rogue factions of the United States military that are psychologically operating against you, and they have got the whole right-wing media people wrapped around their finger like they're married.
So that allows, and this is that allows Alex Jones to say more Q-tard lies to this account that has 62,000 followers. So you see, it's all in hand. I bet they're all working together. And this has got 200,000 views. I can barely get 10,000 or 1,000 or, it's crazy.
Because the post that you make and the post that I make counter these narratives. Because we mock these narratives, and we're in the space where we're actually versus. We're in a versus position against it. That's what is let move upstream.
Yeah,
you're everybody around this show that's out there that's trying to help promote the show. We're over here in the corner.
Yeah, and you guys, thank you. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very
Now,
much. Yes.
again, we're going to look at this right here. We've got EAM loyalists. We got Marine from San Diego, Camp Pendleton over there. Locations under guise of citizen riot control. Nat Mill, Com Central. So we're looking at Command Central. Then you've got Secretary of Defense instruct USS Castle Rock. So this is all happening now, guys. It was a Q post on 6/4/2020. This is it right here. Active duty Marines at Camp Pendleton, right there. Expect massive riots organized in defiance and other fleeing the U.S. to occur. USMs will conduct the operation while NG activated. Pretty interesting. Paid insurrectionists. Okay. So we're looking at all this happening. There is a narrative out there. You've got Karen Bass acting and Newsom and et al. Acting like because ICE is there effectively doing their job with real arrest warrants for criminals, murderers, and all that. That's what's the riots are about, right? No, the riots are because of paid protesters and there might be real protesters in there that are just brainwashed and mind controlled and whatever, and like to hang out and have fun, whatever. But there is a percentage of these people that are paid insurrectionists, and they will see justice. And once these strings are cut, you're going to see them gone. But I'm really looking at the narratives, and they're acting like it's Trump's fault. And we all know optics versus reality. The optics are Trump isn't starting the riots. The reality is they are starting the riots. It's very simple.
And they're trying, and they think that they have enough. Like right now, Jeff, I just saw the other day, the CNN is down under 350,000 primetime viewers. So this is dwindling. Their power is dwindling. Their ability, they definitely have a bunch of people convinced that this stuff is going on and that it's Trump's fault. Yes, but they don't have enough people convinced that it's Trump's fault like they had 10 years ago, 8 years ago, whatever you want to call it. But really, this is getting ready. I think we were talking about this morning. This is getting ready to shed light on who is and who isn't pro-America.
Yeah.
A politician that's pro-America will send in law enforcement to protect Americans. A politician that is not pro-America will refuse law enforcement to protect illegal immigrants. Easy. This is not difficult. You've got to differentiate this between you and your friends to have a discussion, because they are going to be extremely confused. They're trying to blackmail us, Jeff. They're trying to blackmail us. They're trying to say, oh, you stop arresting illegals and we will stop burning down your business.
Yeah.
That is backwards.
Yeah. And let's just look. I mean, are they losing the narrative? Let's see. I think CNN admitted that they are losing the narrative. Check this out.
Start off on the fact that immigrant citizens, immigrant voters, foreign-born voters have gone tremendously to the right on this issue in 2024 and 2025 versus where they were in 2020. Closest to or trust more in immigration. You go back to 2020. Democrats, get this, held a 32-point lead on this issue. Immigrant voters were in the Democratic camp. Jump forward to 2024, 2025. Look at that shift, a 40-point shift to the right among immigrant voters. Republicans now lead on this issue by 8 points over Democrats, more so than any other group that I could find. The group of voters who became more hawkish on immigration were, in fact, immigrants themselves, immigrants who are registered to vote in this country.
Well, that's on that issue. How about how they feel about kind of traditionally, historically, about Donald Trump?
Yeah. So, you see this shift and you go, what is going on underneath the hood? Well, take a look, Donald Trump. You remember when he first ran back in 2016, immigrant voters were one of his weakest spots. But look at this. Trump's vote share in presidential elections among, again, immigrant citizens, those who are registered to vote. Look at this. In 2016, he got 36% of the vote. You go to 2020, 39% of the vote. Look at this. In 2024, all the way up to 47% of the vote. Some polls I looked at had him barely losing that vote. Some polls I looked at had him barely winning that vote. Again, there is no block of voters that shifted more to the right from 2020 to 2024 than immigrant voters. And Donald Trump, at least in some surveys, actually won that vote. On average, it's about equal. So there may be all this stuff, right, about undocumented immigrants and Trump being harsh on them, but immigrant voters themselves have increasingly liked Donald Trump and have increasingly moved to the right on immigration and into the Republican camp.
Well, then on that, what you're getting at, how immigrant citizens, voters, feel about people in the country illegally.
Yeah, and this is where it all kind of comes together, Kate Baldwin. Look at this. The net favorable rating, immigrants who are here illegally, among immigrant citizens, again, those registered to vote. In 2020, look at this, plus 23 points on the net favorable rating. But look at where we were in 2024, minus 6 points, underwater. So immigrant citizens have become increasingly unfavorable in their views of those immigrants who are here illegally. So I think it's so important when we're talking about this debate from a political angle to separate those out who are undocumented immigrants versus those who are here legally and those who are citizens and those who are voters, because that group of voters has felt increasingly distant from those immigrants who are here legally. And so again, when we're talking about this, at least from a political angle, this is why Donald Trump feels so comfortable, because in fact, amongst the group that you would think that would be most opposed to this, in fact, they become increasingly favorable, not just towards Donald Trump, but towards a Republican point of view on immigration and becoming distant from those immigrants who are here illegally.
Yeah,
Wow.
important baseline to consider.
Yeah, that's a baseline to consider, all right. On CNN, admitting that they're losing the war on the narrative, Shady Groove.
Man, I mean, I just really do. I can't explain to you how huge this is. This means that our messaging worked. That's through all the noise, all the media hype, people understood. The people that were here legally, the people that had immigrated here legally, recognized the issue, recognized that yes, we want to be nice and kind to people, but this is someone taking advantage of a situation. Like our broken immigration system is being exploited by Democrats so that they can have future Democrat voters. At whose expense? At the expense of your property? It's your property in California that they're taking hammers to and knocking up the sidewalks and the curbs. That's your property. That's public property that will never be fixed. You want to talk about losing the middle? They are losing the middle. Donald Trump is perfectly spending his political capital, and they're losing the middle. How do I know this? Listen to this real quick from Senator John Fetterman. I unapologetically stand for free speech, peaceful demonstrations, and immigration, but this is not that. This is anarchy and true chaos. My party loses the moral high ground when we refuse to condemn setting cars on fire, destroying buildings, and assaulting law enforcement.
Wow. And now the looters. So, it's pretty crazy. So here's the war on narrative. So this is, and I guess CNN didn't cover her press conference yesterday, which is very interesting. But this is Mayor Basshole. Here we go.
You have a situation like we did in the last Trump administration where kids were afraid to go to school because they weren't sure their parents would be there, where people were afraid to go to work. And you just think about the disruption in families. You might have a father that's going into a warehouse or a plant. You might have a mother who is serving as a child care worker on the other side of town, either in somebody's home or not. You disrupt the entire ecosystem. You impact our overall economy. If people are afraid to go to work, this is a city of immigrants. If they're afraid to go to work, you are going to hit our economy in a way that is completely unnecessary. This is a problem that started on Friday morning when the raids happened. This did not need to take place. You have a
Wow. All right.
She
So
says it right
then,
there.
and then let's just read her tweet, Shady Grove. Okay.
Wow. I can't believe they're saying this stuff out loud.
Stop the raids. There is a real fear in Los Angeles right now. Parents, workers, grandparents, young people scared to go about their daily lives. We are a city of immigrants. Washington is attacking our people, our neighborhoods, and our economy. Now, what people have to realize that this is much bigger than just the violence and everything. This has to do with the census and number of people you have in seats for Congress, guys.
Yes.
This is so big, guys.
Big.
That this is how they're keeping the control of the House and the Senate with the seats with illegal aliens that won't vote or will vote only towards Democrat-leaning things because they brought them in here and they give them free health care and they give them free Social Security. They give them free food. They give them cars, driver's license, bank accounts. This is bigger than you know.
And if you were given all of that, if you had come to America and you were given all that, would you run out to the polls and vote for a Republican and protect freedom of speech?
Where's that?
you go-
Where's Yeti's? Oh hell no!
Would you go out there and like profess, like what are they doing?
Yeah.
Like look at what they're doing. They're giving their people, they're paying the voters, they're buying the population. If California has been losing residents, guys, this is not just a small thing. Jeff is hitting the nail right on the head perfectly. California is losing residents. People like you and me are getting the hell out of there. It's like, oh yeah, it's paradise, but it's a hellhole. Yeah. So they're getting out of there. So they got to replace those people to keep the representatives in Congress. Yep. Otherwise, they lose population. They lose people in Congress. They got to count the illegals as citizens because otherwise they lose even more people in Congress.
So is this where the real vote fraud is, guys?
Yes. Yes.
Now, Liberty Warrior, and I can't confirm this, but I'm taking your word for it's about right. 750,000 people in your population equals one congressional seat.
Yes.
If we say that we have 20 million illegal aliens in the U.S., wow.
That's about 22 seats.
Wow.
Think about that.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a joke, everybody. It's not a joke. And you've got states like New York and Massachusetts and a number of the other ones that are acting like, oh, it's fine for an illegal. They pay their taxes. They do not pay taxes, people. Yeah. You don't pay taxes. Okay. What happens is, listen, if you're an employer, you're hiring illegal labor. What ends up happening is you as an employer end up paying a fine towards what that person, if it was a regular person, would pay to the government in taxes. You pay that as the contractor. Okay.
And we have legal ways of that to happen too. We have a legal way to bring in people to work from other countries.
But if you do that, then that is
taxes.
Not only that, it requires the contractor to pay them a living wage. Okay. If you bring them in normally, okay, so if I bring in Hernando into my strawberry fields to pick strawberries, legally, I got to pay him something close to what I'd pay you. If I do it illegally, then I got to say, oh, all this labor got done, and I don't got.
So really Hernando, you got to say it right, Shady. Hernando is getting screwed 6 ways to Sunday, and so are you, the people, and you're getting your seats taken away and filled in with populace that is illegal.
And guess who wins? The globalists who want to infiltrate end up winning because then they do this crazy thing, Jeff. Then they start to say, if you don't stop the ICE raids, we're not going to stop rioting. And then they blame Trump. Oh, Donald Trump come in here. He done come in here and messed everything up by trying to arrest people that are illegal. We want ICE. Listen, I want ICE at the Home Depot. I don't care what you say. I want ICE there. I want them sitting there.
I voted for that.
I voted for that. I want what I saw last night, Jeff, was what I want to see. Whenever numbnuts are out in the street and they're like not going home when they're told to go home, I want them surrounded and I want them put in zip ties and I want them put on buses and then I want them processed. Are you illegal? Good. Process, gone. Are you not illegal? Good. Process, prosecuted.
Yeah. Pastor Shadowley says, so this is how liberty dies, with the enforcement of basic immigration laws. Keck.
It's
LOL.
Buddy, it's not something that was on your radar 20 years ago, was it?
No.
People weren't seeing this. The people I was screaming at this because this affected me. This illegal stuff affected me. Like I couldn't become a contractor because of what you would have to do, and you manage all these illegals, and to compete with other contractors, they're bringing in cheap labor. I don't want to work with a bunch of cheap labor. So I ended up working for myself and by myself and never really growing a business into that because I didn't want to deal with it.
So would this essentially be the Democrats wanting to keep their slave labor?
Yes.
And their slaves?
They did it whenever they started shooting at the people in the South, acting like they were talking about they were going to, or shooting the people in the North, acting like they were going to take their slaves away.
Yeah. Interesting.
Cheap labor, listen, you will never see a Democrat more excitable than whenever you try to take away their cheap labor. You want to see an active Democrat threaten to take away the labor that the guy that's mowing their yard for $6.
Yeah.
You'll get them activated.
So let's see what the actual people that live there, right on the strip of where all this is happening, feel about it. Check it out, Shady Griff.
This is not they're doing protest. They're just doing for looting the stores and everything. So this is my store. Then I got the call from the ADT and they asked me that, okay, there is a break into your store. So I checked in my thing. I saw somebody's break into my store and called right away to police and my landlord. And I saw that they break into my store and they took a lot of merchandise from my store right now. This is so ridiculous. This doesn't look like this is for they're protesting for ICE or anything. This is they're doing just for the looting the stores and everything.
He's not the only one.
No, there's a many. So, this is what we've got going. So this is from Richard Grinnell. Thank God real Donald Trump acted quickly to send in more law enforcement officials to Los Angeles. He saved us. The riots would have gone on for days with hundreds of millions of dollars in damage. Gavin Newsom has now rushed to San Francisco courts, not Los Angeles, to find the most left-wing judges to play politics.
There will be accountability.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, legal immigrants hate it. That's right, C-Page. I've actually talked to people, many times over that that I came here legally, and they know the Constitution better than some of people watching this show today. It's amazing.
They know it very well because that's part of the requirements for coming here. And you know what? They were excited to learn it. That's another good point to bring up, is that how the people that came here to be immigrants legally wanted to be an American. Okay, these people you see right here down there in LA, they do not want to be an American. They want Mexico to be here. Do you understand that? They are trying to bring Mexico here. Listen, whenever I was
wait, Shady, real quick before you go on. Not only do they want to bring Mexico here, one of the narratives that the people are screaming is you can't be illegal on stolen land. They think that California is still Mexico.
Yes. That's 100% true. That's exactly what and they think that because they've been propagandized to think that.
La raza.
Whenever you were young, I just like to just imagine when anybody in this chat pretty much, when you were 10 years old, imagine yourself as 10 years old and you turn on the news and you saw a bunch of people in downtown LA on the news running around on motorcycles, doing circles around riot police on motorcycles, lighting cars on fire, brandishing a Mexican flag. Imagine yourself at 10 years old. Imagine the shock that you would have had if you would have saw that on your evening news at 10 years old. And now place yourself to now and look at a 10-year-old child and see that they see that and they are not shocked. That is the problem. The problem is in the bloodstream. The problem is not enough Americans are standing up and professing what it means to be an American. Instead, they're taking the route of bow your head and say, oh, they're making fun of me because I'm an American.
Mm. Well, all you people that might be watching this on Facebook, we can't go live because Facebook took my ability to go live. So we've got a third of our views. So after the show, I will make the show public, and please go on the Facebook and look for it and share it. And fight Facebook censorship, guys. I mean, it's bad. So what would Barack Hussein Obama do? Well, Shady, let's listen.
If you're a criminal, you'll be deported. If you plan to enter the U.S. illegally, your chances of getting caught and sent back just went up. The actions I'm taking are not only lawful, they're the kinds of actions taken by every single Republican president and every single Democratic president for the past half-century. And to those members of Congress who question my authority to make our immigration system work better, or question the wisdom of me acting where Congress has failed, I have one answer. Pass a bill.
Wow. So all of my Democrat friends on Facebook, did you hear that?
I heard it.
Loud and clear. 5-5, right?
Yes, sir. It's not rocket surgery.
And by the way, how hard would it be to find this guy who has an ankle monitor, Shady? He's already a criminal.
I think that would be easy.
Yeah. There's the ankle monitor.
But I'm sure he's just a guy that's trying to protect his job of picking strawberries today.
Yeah. He doesn't look like he's a gang member or anything, does he?
No, sir. No. Not at all. That would be what we considered an LA dad, an LA man.
An LA dad.
Yeah, he's an LA man. He works hard at his gangster lifestyle.
Gavin Newsom shot back at JD Vance saying, do your job. That's all we're asking for. Do your job. We didn't have a problem until Trump got involved. Rescind the order. Return control to California. And then Stephen Miller says, didn't have a problem? Your state is a criminal for millions of illegal alien invaders, cartel killers, foreign terrorists, transnational gangs, and insurrectionist mobs. Huge swaths of the city that I was born in now resemble a failed third world nations, a ruptured, balkanized society of strangers. When our courageous ICE officers fighting to rescue your communities came under violent organized attack, you and the LA mayor left them unforgivably to fend for themselves. When rioters swarmed, you handed over your streets willingly. You still refuse to arrest and prosecute the arsonists, seditionists, and insurrectionists. This administration is fighting to save the city and the citizens you have left to struggle and suffer.
Yep. And they're going to be prosecuted. You're going to be prosecuted. And, it's I made a statement yesterday. It's like MSNBC, CNN, Washington Post, New York Times are doing their people that are listening to them a big disservice, because they could tell you, they could play what Pam Bondi said yesterday on Hannity for you as the Attorney General, and what the Attorney General said is going to happen. They are going to prosecute you to the fullest extent of the law. Federally. It doesn't matter if Gavin Newsom lets you go. It doesn't matter if Karen Bass lets you go. The feds are coming to get you. And whenever they come to get you, they don't let go, okay? The federal government is not going to let go of you like it would if it was, say, James Comey in the FBI.
Yeah. So, we've got, let me just play this because it's amazing, Shady. This is Tom Homan, okay, on Jesse last night.
Again, here.
Well, you said exactly right. I came in Wednesday to kick off an operation on Friday, and it was a criminal operation. We served criminal search warrants at several places of businesses that were involved with money laundering, tax evasion, and customs fraud, bringing in over $86 million of unclaimed imports and skipping on $17 million of tariff taxes. And it's a part of a bigger investigation having to do with money flowing to Mexico and Colombia that fund the cartels, the drug cartels. So we were serving arrest warrants. We were serving criminal search warrants. And that's when the protest started. And as you said earlier, outside this arrest warrant, we arrested 40 illegal aliens working with these businesses. We also arrested significant criminal public safety threats. You mentioned it. Several rapists, child sexual predators, people that committed murder, people that committed significant domestic violence, and one was a penetration of a foreign object into a young lady. So we took the men and women of ICE in those 2 days, made LA much safer. So the mayor should have been thinking ICE, the governor should have been making ICE. Instead of that, they want to call them terrorists, they want to call them racist, and that rhetoric has caused this protest. And I was there the first 2 nights. It was out of control. The city was burning. Governor Newsom did nothing. The mayor did nothing. So President Trump, God bless him, he sent the National Guard in to save property and save lives. And I salute him for doing it.
Well, you mentioned the governor. He says he wants you to arrest him. Well, what would you arrest him for?
Well, look, I was interviewed by an embassy reporter. He asked me about the protesters. So look, they got the right to protest. But they can't cross that line. They can't impede our enforcement efforts. They can't put hands on our officers. They can't knowingly harbor and conceal illegal aliens from us. I said, so if they cross that line, they're going to be prosecuted. And the question was, well, how about Mayor Bass and Governor Newsom? What if they cross that line? I says, they'll be prosecuted too. Haven't they said for the last 4 years, no one's above the law? They cross the line, we'll seek prosecution. You and I would be held accountable. They prosecuted President Trump. No one's above the law. That's what they said. Either is the Governor Newsom. If he crosses that line, we'll simply ask the Attorney General to seek prosecution. It wasn't a threat. No one threatened to arrest him. But if he crosses that line and commits a crime, he's no better than anybody else. We'll seek prosecution.
Do you feel like the politicians are extorting you, extorting the country? Because they're saying, when ICE leaves, then we'll stop rioting.
Well, I ain't leaving. Well, as a matter of fact, we got over 100 teams out today enforcing immigration law, and we're going to flood the zone. I've said for a month, sanctuary cities, you don't want us to arrest these bad guys that you just listed out. We could arrest them in the safety and security of the county jail, but they won't let us into jail. They release them into the community, which means we got to send a whole bunch of teams in the community to find this dangerous person that don't want to be found. So sanctuary cities are going to get exactly what they don't want: more officers in the communities and more officers in worksite. We can't arrest them in jail or arrest them in the community. If we can't arrest them in the community, we're going to increase worksite enforcement operation. We're going to flood the zone. And based on what LA's doing right now, we're going to continue to flood the zones. We're going to be there tonight. We're going to be there tomorrow. We're going to be there every day in the next 4 years, arresting public safety threat illegal aliens. We're not going to apologize for doing it. So we're not going anywhere, Jesse. We're going to do the job the American people voted Donald Trump in office for. We're going to make America safe again, one illegal alien criminal at a time. And this is another reason we need the big, beautiful bill passed so we can hire more ICE agents, get more technology, and help us find these people. Look, we got over 20 million illegal aliens in this country. We got less than 5,000 deportation officers. We're outnumbered. You want more criminals taken off the street? You want more efficient operations? Then they need to pass this bill and fund ICE and fund the Border Patrol to keep President Trump's promise to the American people.
All right, Tom Homan, great speaking with you. Please stay.
Tom Homan. Wow. He means business, guys. Okay. And he told you exactly what has to happen in order to get an arrest and recommend prosecution. It's not going to happen overnight. It's not just something. I mean, they've got to build a case, and there's things happening behind the scenes. In fact, I watched a little bit of Hannity.
And joining us now
last night.
That was quick.
He knew I was talking about him.
He did. He just jumped right on there. Why don't you get mad at him when he interrupts?
Because he's my friend.
Oh, well, yeah, you just take your friend and go over there.
I don't really like Hannity, but the reason why I'm locking, because we're looking at the narratives, right? We've got them acting like it's Trump's fault, and we got us understanding reality, looking at reality of what's actually happening. Kristi Noem slams Mayor Karen Basshole as a train wreck mayor. Check this out, guys. This is Kristi Noem, leader of Homeland Security, DHS. She's the secretary of DHS. This is who we listen to, guys. Ready?
Yes.
Is Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem is with us. Secretary Noem, thank you for being with us. We appreciate it. One of the biggest problems we have here is when you look at a state like California and the sanctuary status, there are handcuffs on local law enforcement. You know, for example, and I talked about this a little bit in my opening monologue, and, you know, for example, state and local police officers are prohibited from even inquiring about one's immigration status during a routine course of their work. And state and local law enforcement officers are forbidden from holding illegal immigrants until they can be transferred to federal custody. Now, and federal agencies are prohibited from commandeering local authorities. So there is a real the stranglehold in terms of local law enforcement being able to do their job, even those that would want to support ICE and in their mission to keep Californians safe. What's your reaction to that?
Yeah, you're exactly right, Sean. And I would say that most of these law enforcement officers in those sanctuary states are very unhappy with the policies that they have to follow because they want to be there to back up other law enforcement officers. They want to be there to help make their communities safer and to get these bad criminals out of their states and out of this country. And in LA, what we have been going after is the worst of the worst. They're murderers. They're people who have been perpetuating assault and trafficking human beings and drugs and been devastating these communities for years. And they are so anxious to see people be able to raise their families in a safe state again and make California a fantastic place to be and to have a future. But that is not what happens under the leadership of Gavin Newsom. And so right now our ICE agents are there. They're doing their work. They're following through on exactly what President Trump said that he would do. And they're doing it with the backup of the National Guard. The National Guard that has been deployed under Federal 10, which is federal status, which is completely authorized and a status in which can help make America safe again.
Okay, but we're talking, you say the worst of the worst. You're talking about murderers and rapists here. Mm-hmm. We're not talking
absolutely.
about... Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's Sean. Those are the people we're going after. I mean, those are our targets. Today, we had over 400 to 500 targets we were going after that were known members of gangs in LA that have been victimizing people for years. That Gavin Newsom has done absolutely nothing about. That Mayor Bass has done absolutely nothing about. Listen, I served with her in Congress before she was ever mayor, and she is a train wreck of a mayor now that is endorsing these kind of activities. Has allowed her city to be completely devastated associated with crime. And now she's holding press conferences talking about the fact that people have the right to peacefully protest and that they're a city of immigrants. Well, they're not a city of immigrants. They're a city of criminals because she has protected them for so many years. And so we're coming in and doing what the president has said that he's going to do, and he's going to allow people to live in a safe community again. And we're going to use the authority that he has as president of the United States to conduct these operations. And the more that people conduct violence against law enforcement officers, boy, we're going to hit them back, and we're going to hit them back harder than we ever have before. And we conducted more operations today than we did the day before. And tomorrow we're going to double those efforts again. The more that they protest and commit acts of violence against law enforcement officers, the harder ICE is going to kind of come after them, because these people are patriots. These ICE officers are people who are fighting for their country, and I'm so proud of them. They've acted with dignity. They've acted with grace under stressful situations. And when they've been disrespected, they've responded appropriately under the law to make sure that they were treating every single individual the same and making sure that due process was followed and that they were doing their jobs. So this is an unfortunate situation that we see violence and instigators out there, but the President Trump is really dedicated to bringing peace again.
As cars have been burning and agitators have been attacking police and law enforcement and ICE agents, if you turn on fake news CNN or MSDNC, or you listen to Kamala Harris, Cory Booker, Maxine Waters, we keep hearing the same mantra, just like the Summer of Love 2020. Mostly peaceful, mostly peaceful, mostly peaceful. Do we have a count how many officers were injured in all of this?
Oh, we've got, many that have had minor injuries. You've got some that have had serious injuries, shattered bones, concussions, that have been hurt from different bricks that have been thrown. You've seen various pictures and videos of different vehicles that have burned and what they have done to not even just victimize law enforcement officers, but people in these communities that were stopped on a freeway for hours, weren't able to get to their families, and were victimized from objects being thrown. So it's an unfortunate situation, but it's one that President Trump is going to shut down because he remembers 2020. I remember 2020. I remember where all this started back in 2020, which was in Minnesota with Tim Walz as their governor, who let his city burn for days. And then he called up neighboring governors like me and said, would you please deploy your National Guard to help me and bail me out because I let this go too far? And we didn't. We said, listen, you had poor leadership and you won't put your own National Guard out there on the front line. Why should we bail you out of a situation to where you allowed your entire city to burn to the ground? And the President Trump had to step in. He's doing that again, and he's being very proactive, and I'm proud to be on the front lines with him to bring peace to this city and not let it get out of hand like it did in 2020.
Last question. What about the pallets of bricks mysteriously appearing at the scene of where some of this took place? Have you found evidence of organization and funding?
Absolutely, Sean. These are organized. These are people that are being paid to do this. You can follow how they behave, the signals they give to each other in these crowds and these protests to instigate violence. This is an operation, and it's professionally done. They've done it before, and we're going to stop it and make sure that we prosecute every single one of them.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey.
Oh,
no, get the heck off my show, Sean. But hey, she did a great job. I mean, look, Sean Hannity later in the show had a rolling list of all the people that they've arrested in LA, all having major crimes, from murder to child pedophilia to gang money laundering to all of it, guys. These are the people that they're protesting get out of their city. That is not right. Okay. And you know, Shady, you were talking about like what would happen when we were 10, 11 years old. We would see the TV saying, and we would see the mayors going along with the cities saying that this is ridiculous. They're breaking, windows. They're looting. They looted a cannabis store, Shady. They looted the guy's, jewelry store. We would be seeing everybody getting together to stop this, in my opinion. Obviously, we had some issues like with, some, COINTELPRO, if you will, people,
right.
Usurping movements, and we're seeing the same thing happen here because there are, I believe, people that are just not well informed enough and acting on their emotion. Shady.
That's exactly right. They're not well informed because the media won't tell them the truth. If the media has the ability to tell them the truth. They have the cameras, they have the people, they can clearly see what's going on, but they can't do that. If they tell you the truth that undermines their narrative, then their narrative gets undermined, and so they can't tell you the truth. Okay, that's the problem that we're having. The problem that we're having is the media is not willing to tell you the truth. And, it's like really interesting to me because this is what I would do if I was in charge. Follow the bricks. Okay, what do you do? Okay, you go, okay, there's a street camera on every single light pole in the city of LA. All right, so we got a pile of bricks that just shows up out of nowhere. Well, I would go get the video. And I would say, oh, well, who brought it? Oh, well, there's a truck that dropped off. Who are these people? And look at the tag number right there. And they take that tag number. And then I would go arrest the Yahoo that's in the truck that's got the bricks that dumped the bricks off. I don't care if he works for some sort of big multinational company or not. I would go arrest him. And then I'd find out how he and what made him go pick up those bricks and drop them on the street and who put him up to it. And show me on your phone which application that you used to do that and who instructed you to do it. Right there in 20 minutes, you solved it.
Mm-hmm. But this is the kind of stuff that's happening. Look at this, Shitty.
Wherever you're at, we all have a common enemy. It is the same one. Everywhere you go, when you go down the street, there's the enemy. There's the enemy that works for the other enemy, who they all work under. So we all share the same common enemy. Everybody has the same enemy. From LA to Africa to Palestine to Vietnam. We all have the same enemy. That's one enemy. And it is not me. And it is not you. And it is not them. We are not the enemies of each other. They are the enemy. There is only one enemy, and we all have to work together in unison to fight this one enemy. That's right.
Nice brainwashing.
The faster we learn that, the more we can grow as a people, and the quicker we can get to this revolution and overturn this motherfucker and have real people leading this country. That's right. That's right. That's what
we're going to
wow.
Wherever you're at,
that's the kind of crap that we're up against, guys.
That's called brainwashing. That's mind control. That right there is propaganda. That's programming. That's Marxism. Okay. Isn't it interesting that all of the people that were out there screaming and yelling at you about climate change, and the next thing you know, they're screaming and yelling at you about gender, and the next thing you know, they're screaming and yelling at you about Palestine, and the next thing you know, they're burning down your city and saying you're the problem for trying to deport illegals. Mm-hmm. That's the process that you're in here. It started out with like allowing gay people to get married. And I'm sorry, but that is kind of the slippery slope where all of this stuff started. And then once something happened, then they started rushing in all of these other agendas on the back of it. Whenever the American people kind of said, yes, you're right. It probably is fair to allow couples that are lifelong partners to be together. That makes sense to us. We can understand that. We will grant you that grace as America and change our system because of it and for you. And this is what you get for it. This is where it goes. And if you want to keep on the train, it ends up on the doorstep of pedophilia. That's where it ends up. And it's very interesting. You get Florida to pass this law restricting, whatever to pedophilia. And then you get all these same people getting activated. And then you're standing there, you look at yourself, wait a minute, you're jumping into a conversation to defend a pedophile? Mm-hmm. Wow.
That's what they're doing.
That is what they're doing.
The guardians of the pedophiles. All right, Shady, check this out. This is peaceful protest, right?
Ain't getting away, buddy.
So that's a weed store called the MedMen, Shady Grove. And, that is what needs to be done. And it's finally good to see that the LA cops are actually arresting people doing this, not like they did in New York. They stood down. The New York cops stood down. The LA riots and, Summer of Love, Minnesota, where it started with walls. It's all been stopped. Now they can do it. I was watching Dallas last night, Shady, and they actually took action. They're going to be spreading. I heard that they're going to Chicago tonight, so we'll see what happens. And then on the next hour, Shady Grove, we'll go over the organized protests as well.
You got 20 million invaders here. It's a big army.
20 million. And they're all military aged, aren't they?
Yes, sir. Yep.
Yeah. Don't burn MedMen. Fred Stoner. Right? I mean, right?
Okay.
Got to keep the MedMen alive, guys.
It's like, man, why you do that, bro?
But I'm telling you right now, what we are ready to see, and they're fighting for the narrative to act like it's Trump's fault. Did Trump go ahead and rob the MedMen? No. The protesters did. The bad people of California, the criminals and the crooks did. That is a theft. That's a crime. And we don't want crime in our country. We want to be safe in our streets.
And it's proving Donald Trump's point that these people are criminals.
And we'll be right back after these beautiful boom messages.
Hello to all of you beautiful patriots out there.
First of all, let me just thank you all for supporting this show. We wouldn't be here without you. But I have a huge announcement regarding donations.
It has come to our attention that using the Rumble app is taking an additional 30% of your donation to the show.
Let me explain. According to our TOS, Rumble takes 20% of all donations made through the web browser.
And that's at 20%. It's a good deal if you consider other platforms like YouTube and such.
There is a hidden cost that we just found out. For example, we received the generous $500 donation from Spill Tea, and thank you so much for that, from the Rumble app on Apple. So Rumble took 20%, and Apple took an additional 30%. We brought that to Rumble, and they said, well, Rumble's take of tips and donations is 20%. That's if the transaction is done through the web browser. If using the Android or iOS app, it's an additional 30% collected by those platforms.
So please use the web browser to make your donations to the show and avoid the hidden fees by Apple and Android.
That's right. You can also support us at GiveSendGo/HelpMGShow, mg.show/donate. We have PayPal and Cash App. Both are at RealMGShow or $RealMGShow. Please help us out. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
To celebrate our newest launch, Rev 7, I'm bringing you an amazing introductory offer, plus an exclusive overstock sale that you're not going to want to miss. Rev 7 is our premium energy drink that tastes great and gives you energy all day with no jitters and no crashes. That's because there's no sugar and no caffeine. I'm so sure you're going to love Rev 7 that for a limited time you can try our 3-pack absolutely free. Or check out our Percale bed sheets. I can't believe I'm even going to say this. Every color, every style, every size, only $29.88. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save 20% on our Rev 7 12-packs or try our introductory 3-pack absolutely free. And our Percale bed sheets, all sizes, only $29.88, even the queens and kings. Inventory is extremely limited, so order now.
Q-Waken is a streetwear brand and a community-driven project blending fashion, art, and digital assets. Built on the XRP ledger, it offers phygital products. Physical items like hoodies tied to NFTs, non-fungible tokens that grant rewards in QWK tokens. Our QWK token powers our d-commerce ecosystem, rewarding you for engaging, holding, and shopping in a decentralized way. Aiming to revolutionize streetwear with a focus on sustainability and community values, Q-Waken was founded in late 2021, and it's tied to the Great Awakening theme, promoting free thought and truth-seeking. Join us at qwaken.club and become active part of the Golden Age.
will be wonderful. That the real world is much different than the one you knew, and that the burden of the voice that speaks to you from within as a result of that is like the thunder and lightning of God. I know the feeling well. And if you're paying attention to it, is your first vision of God, because visions of God only come with the truth. When you see the truth, you are dealing with God. It's a vision absolutely necessary to all of our future progress if we're going to make any. Without this divine law, there could be no harmony of the soul. And as seekers after oneness with God, we must discover and apply to our own life the laws of His being. You see, it's easier to yield up something once and for all than maintain a daily conflict with ourselves, enforcing upon ourselves obedience in thought, word, and deed to the divine law. The conflict is within you. It always has been. It is indeed, ladies and gentlemen, a steep ascent, always rugged, mostly lonely, often very dangerous, and at times so very, very difficult as to seem beyond our ability, yet it is the only way. This nation hinges upon the success of those who are climbing.
Wow, I love that. Played on the MG show here first. Rawr. Shady Grove, welcome back.
You even got the producer laughing over there.
Oh my God. Because he knows.
Why is he so entertained?
Because he knows. All right.
Are you not entertained?
I am entertained. Are you not entertained? Thank
I
you,
am,
Nicole, for reminding me, for playing this again. You know, we've been playing Bill Cooper songs for a long time, guys. We've been doing this for 7 years, right? Haven't we? Roughly?
Season 7.
Oh my God. Season 7.
That's what they tell me.
Yeah. G. Westbury, thank you for joining us. Yeah, it is technically. Mickey, stop it. I don't know how he's doing. Call him up. Ask him yourself, because I don't know.
Me neither.
Yeah. So let's go to Trump holds a brief office meeting on wilderness, but guess what came up today, Shady Grove?
What came up, Jeff?
The LA riots.
I would imagine that did.
Here we go.
Trump does not want to see that continue.
Blame Trump.
This agency fundamentally needs to go away.
It's as loud as I can get it, Yeti.
And we need to have a response to states that supports them when terrible things come and when the worst day of their lives happens, where the financial resources are there, but they have decision-making power right there in the spot. So the next several months, we expect it to be high activity, and the federal government is here to support the people of the United States with President Trump's leadership. While he's doing that, he's also going to make sure that they're better set up for the future so that they have the ability to really take care of their families when a crisis or a terrible storm does hit. We've got many governors that just recently had terrible, tragic losses from tornadoes, from other events that went through their states, and FEMA was extremely responsive, and they've all been very happy. I think, Mr. President, you even spoke to one of those governors this morning, who is very happy, and the Missouri governor as well, who is very happy. As soon as something happens in their state, I'm in direct communication with the governors to make sure they have what they need, but also making sure that they have the ability to make decisions to respond to the people that live in their state.
Thank you very much, Rachel, everybody. So we want to wean off of FEMA, and we want to bring it down to the state level. A little bit like education, we're moving it back to the states so the governors can handle it. That's why they're governors now. If they can't handle it, they shouldn't be governor. These governors can handle it, and they'll work in conjunction with other governors. They'll give each other a hand. But the FEMA thing has not been a very successful experiment. Very, very expensive, and it doesn't get the job done. You saw what happened in North Carolina under the past administration. And when we got in, we did a great job for North Carolina, brought it back, but it was a disaster, FEMA. And it has not worked out well. It's extremely expensive. And again, when you have a tornado or a hurricane or you have a problem of any kind in a state, that's what you have governors for. They're supposed to fix those problems. And it's much more local, and they'll develop a system, and I think it'll be a great system. And also when it comes to forest fires. So for years, I've been meeting with heads of other countries, and they are forest countries. They call themselves forest, Austria and others. And they say, we're a forest nation. We live in a forest, and they don't have forest fires. And in one case, he said, our trees are much more flammable than California, but we don't have forest fires because we clean the floor, we sweep the floor of leaves, of dead debris, of trees that fall, because after 18 months, a tree is it's like tinder wood, and it goes up, it virtually explodes. Well, we don't take the trees out. California is a disaster, what they've done in California. They don't do anything. And if you did, you almost would not have forest fires. And you could say in theory, you shouldn't have any forest fires. And we spend billions and billions of dollars a year because people don't clean the forests. And we're going to clean the forests. We're going to start cleaning them. We're going to get rid of dead wood. The environmentalists say, oh no, let it regenerate. It doesn't regenerate. It just sits there. And
Hey, is that a shout out to Linwood? Dead wood?
No, Jeff, that was a shout out to Racine.
Oh, Here we go.
Usually catches fire. And we're going to have a whole new system, and it's called forest management. And if you look at some of these countries in Europe and other places that literally live in forests, very flammable forests, and they don't have problems. And they call me, they don't even know how it's possible that we can have the fires that we have. And the people behind me know that very well, and we're going to start working on that system. And we're going to save a lot of trees. We're also going to cut down trees and replant new trees. And that whole industry is going to be growing because we don't need the help of anybody. We have just about more, or as much, but more than almost anybody else in terms of lumber and wood. So we're going to be doing some great work having to do with forest fires. It's going to start effective, really, it started a few months ago. And it's forest management. And Doug, I think you're really the head of that. Interiors, I guess you're the largest landlord perhaps anywhere in the world, I understand. That's a nice position. You may want to just give a few words on the cleaning of the floor of the forests.
Well, happy to do that. And of course, as President Trump had said, yes, between Interior and Forest Service, it was just part of the USDA, 700 million acres of surface area, much of that is in forest land. That is a tremendous resource. It's part of America's balance sheet. When we let it burn, then we actually have to spend money coming through FEMA and other places. So we spend taxpayer dollars cleaning up a mess that could have been prevented. Under President Trump, when we get back into the timber business, which up to 30 years ago, we were one of the great timber producers in the world. Communities thrived in these rural communities. We had lumber mills, we had manufacturing, we had furniture makers in this country. All of that went away when we stopped harvesting our own timber. And today we import about as much timber as we used to harvest ourselves. If we can get back in the timber business, that can help on the balance of trade, reduce imports from foreign countries, and have American jobs. But to make that all happen, again, under President Trump's leadership, we have to get back in the timber business and get back in the game. And when we do that, we have to make sure that we're doing prevention, not just fighting fires after they all get out of control. And so again, working with OMB and others to make sure that we've got the budget for doing the prevention work and the forest management upfront, reduces the expense and the cost on the back end of fighting these massive fires. But again, coordinating across all of our 5 different major firefighting groups today, it's like having 5 generals in the field. They may have different strategies and different tactics. They even have different pay levels. Brooke and I are working to make sure that regardless of which service and branch that you're in, that you're going to have a similar pay, that we're going to have everybody equipped with the right technology to protect them when they're out in the field. Just basic stuff that they don't have today that we were giving our military 20 years ago in terms of, and then using technology to be able to identify fires when they first start. I mean, with infrared, satellite, drones, I mean, there's technology where we can pick out a fire when it just barely begins and it costs us nothing to put it out versus when it scales up and becomes these massive fires that endanger communities, lives, and our firefighters. So President Trump, of course, has got a common sense strategy. He's empowering all of the leadership that's standing up here today for us to go get this job done. It's going to get America back in the timber business. We're going to put out fires when they're small and as opposed to when we can't control them when they're large. And we're going to have revenue coming into the federal government from those timber sales as opposed to those timber leases to the private companies, as opposed to revenue going out through FEMA after the fact when we're cleaning up a mess. So the whole thing makes complete sense. And Brooke and I and Christy and Russ, we're all excited to go out and implement the president's vision.
And we have some of the best timber anywhere in the world, and we don't use it. We freed it up. Lee Zeldin's done an incredible job in that regard from environmental restrictions that are ridiculous. And a lot of it's been freed up. The rest of it's being freed up. Some areas will continue to protect, but we're going to be freeing up most of it. And again, we have some of the best in the world. And when I hear you say that we lost more in fires than we produce is so crazy, because we shouldn't lose very much at all. I could say we shouldn't lose any if it was perfect, but it should not be ever like what we've seen. We're sending billions of dollars to California all the time because obviously in California they are not doing a good job in any way, shape, or form, any other thing either. So with that, I'm heading to Fort Bragg right now. I think the helicopter's landing as we speak. But if you want, we'll take a few questions.
Mr. President, will you invoke the Insurrection Act to deal with the situation in California?
If there's an insurrection, I would certainly invoke it. We'll see. But I can tell you last night was terrible. The night before that was terrible. We have, as you've seen, it was on most of your networks, people with big, heavy hammers pounding the concrete and pounding curbs, pounding it, breaking up all, and handing these big chunks of concrete to people. And they were taking that concrete, going up on bridges and dropping it into the roof of a car. They were throwing it at our police. They were throwing it at our soldiers that are there. And we got it stopped, and we have them in custody right now. Look, if we didn't get involved, right now, Los Angeles would be burning, just like it was burning a number of months ago with all the houses that were lost. Los Angeles right now would be on fire, and we have it in great shape. We're not playing around.
How will you determine whether or not there is an insurrection?
Well, you'll take a look at what's happening. I mean, I could tell you there were certain areas of Los Angeles that you could have called it an insurrection. It was terrible. But these are paid insurrectionists. These are paid troublemakers. They get money. And when you take a look at what they do, where they show up and everyone's saying, what's he doing? He's pounding the curbs. This one guy's pounding the curb, breaking the curb, and handing big pieces of granite. In some cases, it's granite and concrete to other people. And they're running out with it. And then we watch the other people, and they try and throw it into the face of the soldiers, throw it into the face of the police, and they hurt some people very badly. They go up on bridges, they drop it down on the cars as the cars are moving. They're not breaking the curb because they're doing a demolition service. They're breaking it to hand out to people as a weapon. It's bad stuff. I've never seen that before.
Mr. President, how soon do you want to see FEMA eliminated? And what's your message to the governors about how much more of an expense going to fall to states?
Yeah, well, it's not going to be so much to states. We're going to give out less money. We're going to give it out directly. It'll be from the president's office. We'll have somebody here. Could be Homeland Security, but we're going to give it out through a method where it's given out. As an example, I just gave out $71 million to a certain state. They were looking to do about 120. They were very happy with the 71 million. We did a little cutting, and they were very happy with it. So we're going to do it much differently. We think after this, Christy, I'd say after the hurricane season, we'll
Yes,
start
sir. You
phasing
set
it
up
out.
a FEMA council over the next couple of months. We'll be working on reforms and what FEMA will look like in the future as a different agency, as under the Department of Homeland Security, to the president's vision. And it will empower governors to go out and respond to emergency situations. And that what the president does best is to make sure that the taxpayers are only fulfilling the need to which is appropriate, and that people are responsible to respond to their own people closest to home. So
If a certain state, as an example, gets hit by a hurricane or tornado, that's what a governor should be able to handle it. And frankly, if they can handle it, the aftermath, then maybe they shouldn't be governor.
Mr. President, when is the last time you spoke with Governor Newsom?
A day ago, called him up to tell him, got to do a better job. He's doing a bad job, causing a lot of death and a lot of potential death. If we didn't send out the National Guard, and last time we gave him a little additional help, you would have, Los Angeles would be burning right now. Los Angeles would be not a lot different than what you saw take place in California and Los Angeles just a little while ago. And, you got to remember, we have the Olympics coming. And we don't want people looking at Los Angeles like it would have been. It would have been bad. Last night, they had total control. We didn't have the military in there, the National Guard, and then we also sent in some Marines. We had some bad people. We have people, they look in your face and they spit right in your face. They're animals. And these are paid insurrectionists. These are paid troublemakers. They're agitators. They're paid. Do you think somebody walks up to a curb and starts hammering pieces out, has all the equipment necessary, and starts handing it out to people to use as a weapon? These are paid insurrectionists or agitators or troublemakers. You can call them whatever you want. And we ended it, and we have in custody some very bad people. Some very bad people.
Mr. President.
Did you see the guy throwing the rocks at the police cars as they went by and crushing their windows and endangering our police? We're not going to let that happen, yeah.
Pardon me, Mr. President, on those Marines, Governor Newsom has described them as political pawns. I'm curious for your reaction to that and what you see as the Marines' role and what are their rules of engagement?
All I want is safety. I just want a safe area. Los Angeles was under siege until we got there. The police were unable to handle it. You can speak to the chief. He said it on television 3 nights ago. He said, this is more than we can handle. They said that. And the LA police, I know a lot of the police in LA, they're great people, but they're given instructions not to do this, not to do that. But in this case, they were trying their best. They were not able to handle it. It was out of control. When we got there, and you have to remember, I've been here before, and I went right by every rule, and I waited for governors to say, send in the National Guard. They wouldn't do it. They wouldn't do it, and they just wouldn't do it. It kept going on and on, got worse and worse. And in Minneapolis, that city was burning down 7 days, and I said, I don't care. The governor, who's a governor that just happened to be running for vice president, you talk about an incompetent governor. He's an incompetent person.
Loser.
That he was picked. Well, I was actually very happy he was picked for other reasons. But this guy wouldn't call the National Guard. And we ultimately just sent in the National Guard. We stopped it. But that was after 7 days. And I said to myself, if that stuff happens again, we've got to make faster decisions because they don't want to do it. The radical left, it's usually radical left, and it's usually governors that are Democrat, and they don't want to call them in. They don't want to save lives. They don't want to save property. They don't want to call them in. I don't know what it is. We sent them in, not early, we sent them in late as far as I'm concerned. But big problems, as you know, 3 nights ago, big problems were ensuing. If we didn't send in the National Guard quickly, right now, Los Angeles would be burning to the ground.
The Marines is, a lot of people think, an escalatory step, though. These are guys who fight wars. Are you at all concerned that things could get out of hand with Marines?
When I see people throwing concrete into cars, when I see people, the kind of people that I saw on your network doing danger to the police and to the military and to the National Guard, no, it's okay. You start running out of people. When you have 2,000 people from a National Guard standpoint, we have a very big military. But the National Guard, they needed a little extra help. and we sent them a little, and we did a great job last night. We had, well, you got a lot of cars go up in smoke and flame and a lot of bad scenes, but it was pretty minor by comparison. This morning it's very calm. See what happens later. But they know if they go there, they're not going to get anywhere because we have the National Guard there. We backed it up with a number of Marines, yeah.
Mr. President, do you agree with Governor Abbott soon signing legislation to mandate attendance in school classrooms?
Having to do with what?
Governor Abbott is soon going to sign legislation to mandate displays of attendance in school classrooms. Do you support him?
I have to take a look at it. I'm going to have to look at it.
Will the National Guard be in California indefinitely? How long will they be there until you think?
Until there's no danger. It's easy. Look, it's common sense. You ask me that question. When there's no danger, they'll leave. You would have had a horrible situation had I not sent them in. Horrible. You'd be reporting on a lot of death and a lot of destruction that's not going to take place. I think if you look, every night it got less and less. They were met with very strong force, the bad people, the bad, sick people that do what they do. But these are paid people in many cases, not in all cases, but in many cases. And they really are, they're agitators.
I was wondering if you had any response to Mexican President Sheinbaum, who condemned the violence there. Have you been in touch with her at all?
Said what?
I was wondering if you had any response to what Mexican President Claudine Sheinbaum said.
What'd she say?
She condemned the violence in LA.
Oh, I do too.
Yeah. Have you been in touch with her at all?
Well, you think I don't condemn it? I condemn the violence in LA, ladies and gentlemen, but I also stopped the violence in LA. And by doing what I did, I stopped the violence in LA. And that would have been, I think, maybe I'd ask Christie to speak to that. That would have been an unbelievable tragedy. We would be talking, I don't know that would even be here right now. It would have been so bad. I'd probably maybe be out there. I don't know. But Christie, could you speak to that?
Absolutely. So in 2020, I was a governor of a neighboring state to Tim Walz and watched him let his city burn. And the president and I have talked about this in the past, and he was not going to let that happen to another city and to another community where a bad governor made a bad decision. So Claudia Sheinbaum came out and encouraged more protests in LA, and I condemn her for that. She should not be encouraging violent protests that are going on. If people are allowed to peacefully protest, but the violence that we're seeing is not acceptable, and it's not going to happen in America. This president is standing up for the average American who wants to walk their child to school every day safely, run their small business, and provide for their families. That's the action that he's taken. He has every authority under the Constitution to send these National Guard under Title X into these communities and make sure that operations go smoothly, that law enforcement officers are protected, that they can continue to do their work without fear of being injured or killed or disrespected, and that they can go home to their families at night. So I'm incredibly proud of the president for activating the National Guard and for sending in these Marines, because these Marines are specifically trained to meet the need that we have on the ground in LA right now. And Governor Newsom has done a disservice to the state of California for many years. The people there should never elect him into a leadership position ever again. He
The
clearly
governor's a nice guy, but he's grossly incompetent. When it comes to his railroad that he's building, where it's like 30 times over budget, nobody's ever seen anything like it. Now it doesn't even go to San Francisco.
All right, now, he just said railroad, Shady. Who's been talking about the railroads every Friday for the last how many weeks now?
We've been about 8 weeks now.
Huh.
We have.
Thank you, POTUS. And then he's also Bloodline, right? We got the Bloodline with the Pelosi's, the Newsoms, the Browns, wow.
Meaning that he doesn't make bad decisions, meaning that he's not stupid.
Wow. Thank you for the hat tip.
Francisco and LA, it's way short of it. After years of work and overruns like nobody's, those contractors are some of the wealthiest people in the world, I guarantee you that. Because that money goes to those contractors. They just did a number on the wallet of the people of California. That train, you should look at that train. That is the greatest. I've never seen cost overruns. I've seen cost overruns and great incompetence over my life. I've never seen anything like that.
Mr. President, these protests obviously started in reaction to these large-scale ICE operations in Los Angeles. Should people expect to see similar operations in the rest of the country?
Yeah.
And will similar protests see
Yeah,
similar response?
as you know, we're moving murderers out of our country that were put here by Biden or the auto pen. The auto pen really did it. I mean, the people, whether it's Lisa Monaco or whoever operated the auto pen, these are criminals. people are criminals that allowed these criminals into our country. And I don't think that Biden knew what the hell he was doing. I don't think he even knew about it. But when they opened up our borders for the whole world to come in, yeah, we're going to get them out. We're getting them out. We're starting to get acknowledgement from the courts that, there's a system. They come in without courts and they go out, they want trials and everything else. I think that's starting to work out now. Judges are starting to see what a terrible situation it is. Many of those people that you saw on television last night are criminals that were allowed into our country by Biden. And they want to stay. And we don't want them. And they come from jails, and they come from mental institutions, and they come from all over the world, not just South America. And we're not going to let them stay. And this is the first, perhaps, of many, or perhaps, if we didn't attack this one very strongly, you'd have them all over the country. But I can inform the rest of the country that when they do it, if they do it, they're going to be met with equal or greater force than we met right here. We did a great job. The people, you, Christy, and Tom Holman, and all of the people, Pete Hegseth, all of the people involved did an amazing job. We stopped a disaster. And it looks like a planned disaster, this didn't just happen. They had weapons, they had tools, they had everything you needed. I mean, they were throwing iced water in bottles, in glass bottles, at officers and at soldiers. These are, you could not use the word insurrection, but you could also use the word, these are very dangerous people. They're bad people. They were met with heavy force and they folded. And they may be there a little bit tonight. They may be there a little bit, but it seems to be getting less and less because they're going there and they're met with a very heavy force. And if they weren't, you would have that city right now would be on fire. It would be burning down. The rest of it, what's left over. Because the other fire was started because they wouldn't allow water into LA. They wouldn't allow water into California because they had it all shifted out to the Pacific Ocean. And I turned it around and told them to do it in my first term, and they didn't do it. We had COVID, and they didn't do it. And I told them to do it. We did it in the second. Now we have billions of gallons of water flowing down. But Newsom should have done this. He's an incompetent man and an incompetent governor. Okay, any other questions?
Mr. President, any message to adversaries as the Army kicks off 250-year birthday celebration?
I just think it's amazing. We're going to have a fantastic June 14th parade, Flag Day. It's going to be an amazing day. We have tanks, we have planes, we have all sorts of things. And I think it's going to be great. We're going to celebrate our country for a change. Recently, as you know, with World War II, the victory of World War II, I called up France and they were celebrating the victory. Well, we helped them a lot, as you know. I don't have to get into that. But I called up other countries. They were all celebrating the victory. We're the only country that didn't celebrate the victory. And we're the one that won the war. Okay, if it wasn't for us, that war, you would be speaking German right now, okay? We won the war, and you might be speaking Japanese too. I mean, you might be speaking a combination of both. We won the war, and we're the only country that didn't celebrate it. And we're going to be celebrating big on Saturday. We're going to have a lot of, and if there's any protester wants to come out, they will be met with very big force. By the way, for those people that want to protest, they're going to be met with very big force. And I haven't even heard about a protest, but, this is people that hate our country, but they will be met with very heavy force. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you, press. Let's move out. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Wow, guys. So while that was happening, we're looking at Scavino posts, Shady Grove, and also Trump posts. So while our show is happening, we're specifically keeping an eye on that as well. Okay, so President Trump posted
because we've noticed an uptick of direct messages to the show through their timestamps during the show.
So at 12:39 p.m., video length is 153. Shady, Can we go look at that?
I think we should because I think that it will be very relevant. We've already
153 was the video length, and what was the time again?
The time was 12:39.
12:39. 1, 2, 3, 9. All right. Okay. So 153. Let's just look at this. Okay. For the coming days ahead, ask yourself an honest question. Why would a billionaire who has all the fame, fortune, a warm and loving family, friends, etc., want to endanger himself and his family by becoming the president of the United States? Why would he want to target himself and those he cares about? Does he need the money? Does he need the fame? What does he get out of this? Does he want to make the U.S. world a better place for his family and those good and decent people who have long been taken advantage of? Perhaps he could not stomach the thought of mass murders occurring to satisfy Moloch. Perhaps he could not stomach the thought of children being kidnapped, drugged, and raped while leaders, law enforcement of the world turn a blind eye. Perhaps he was tired of seeing how certain races, countries were being consistently abused and kept in need, poor, and suffering for all a specific purpose. Perhaps he could not in good conscience see the world burn. Why? Hours after the election, did 7 people travel to an undisclosed location to hold a very private and highly secured, guarded meeting? Why didn't Hillary Rodham Clinton give a concession speech? When was the last time a presidential candidate didn't personally give a concession speech? What happens if the border remained open and the MSM continued to brainwash? At what point do patriots and hardworking men and women become the minority? What about voting machines? Who owns the voting machines? What about voter ID laws? Photo ID? When is it necessary and must be presented? Make a list, laugh, reconcile. Would the chances of defeating evil grow less and less with each passing year? What does red line mean? Why, again, were the arrests made in Saudi Arabia so very important? What strings were immediately cut? Follow the money. When does a bird sing, Shady? Q. And then let's go to the actual timestamp. Al Gore, today is Earth Day. Did you forget? Do you feel safe? And it goes to this post here. I got to take out the percentages because it's got a space. Boom, 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 boom. And it goes to Al Gore thrived as green tech investor. And now I can't see it because it's behind a paywall. But wow.
Wow. I think wow is right. I think that what you're seeing is something extraordinary, something you've never seen before, something none of us have seen this before, guys. And it's almost like, you're seeing, you're in a zoo and you're seeing something that you didn't even know existed. Like that's what we are looking at because we've never had a populist person. We've never had a person that actually had your best interest at heart occupying that position that he has right now. Did you notice the difference between what happened in LA last night opposed to what happened Saturday night? Opposed to what happened or Sunday night and opposed to what happened Friday night. Think about that. What happened? We put people there to stop them from burning stuff, okay? That's the way forward. That's the way that law enforcement works. Listen, man, Jeff, you guys know this, and I'm going to say it very clearly. There's only one way to raise all boats. There's only one way. There's only one way to get the tide to raise every boat, and that is uplift the economy. That is remove the constraints that are on the economy. That is to remove the choke hold by the monopoly Federal Reserve that it has gripped on your economy, and it has stolen 98.6% of the wealth that you handed them in 1933. I'm not joking with you. The wealth that you handed them when they took your gold in 1933, they've taken 98% of that wealth away from you, and now they charge you debt or they charge you interest on that, guys, on the money you put in there. Your family put that money in there. That is the con. That is the Babylonian money system. That is what's under attack. And the only way that we fix it is by lifting every boat in this country at the same time.
So, Shady, we got more.
I know. I saw that too.
So this is happening now. President Trump boards Air Force One. Next stop, Fort Bragg. ... Okay, there he is. Heading off. Not a bad way to get Fort Bragg. Proud to join POTUS to celebrate Army's 250th anniversary. There they are right there. What a great photo. And then that post is 129, Shady.
Yes.
And the video length is 13. So let's go look at those two posts. 129 is CIA closing act dismantled, impossible to clean. Operations, no such agency. NSA. Q. Now think about the timing of POTUS traveling to China and SK, South Korea. I've said too much. God bless Patriots. God bless Patriots. Wow.
And we got yesterday, if you would go to 127 real quick, please, while you're there, because yesterday we didn't see that we got the 128 or the 127 stamp hit yesterday, which is literally on
Who hit
Friday.
it?
I think it was Friday, we had the 129 hit. So I'm just bringing that up because we had 129, 127, and or 120, 128 on Friday, 129 yesterday, 127 today. Like they're bouncing right around this. This is the map, 128.
127 is the graphic is your key. Let's pause and say hello to the rogue intelligence agencies currently monitoring these threads. Was the money worth it? Titanic. Q. Right. So now, Shady, we've got others. Okay. This is the one we just did. Okay. At 12:29. So he posted another post. If we didn't send out the National Guard, Los Angeles would be burning right now. It is a minute and 35. So you remember that, Shady Groove? It's a minute 35. So that's 1:35. And then the timestamp was, oh my gosh, what was it? 1:15. 1315. And I'll also do 115. Okay. All right. So 1315. Oh my gosh, Shady.
Oh, wow.
A rigged system. They don't want to turn over documents to Congress. What are they afraid of? Why so much redacting, Courtney? Why such unequal justice? At some point, I will have no choice but to use the powers granted to the presidency and get involved, Shady. 135 is Rothschild owned and controlled banks.
Oh, this is every bank. 135. And then that was like 135, 136, 138.
Yep. And then there was 115. Oh, what's this? It's a Japanese restaurant. Okay, image search tags coordinates Japanese military restaurant. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 exclamation points.
Interesting. That post came up.
Yeah.
It's a number of these guys that are coming up now have not been hit before, and I'd like to, or not been hit recently. And people say things like, "Oh, where it's just there's only so many timestamps in a day," and yes, that's true. But there's some dynamic with the Q post where the posts that match a clock timestamp are in a different category than the posts that don't match a clock timestamp. It's very interesting the way that they're, the post that they can't get a timestamp on, they'll use a length of a video to get you to that post. And no other posts, by the way, are relevant. Elon Musk's posts aren't relevant. Other posts out there, random people that are posting about stuff is not relevant to timestamps regarding Q. I'm noticing a big trend by newcomers to think that, a timestamp is relevant to every single person that posts on Twitter.
Wow. Wow. Okay. So now we got another post right here. 1,000. I guess we can look at 1,000 Q posts as well. But let's look at this real quick, okay, before we go. This is the posts. Okay, this is post because it was posted on 117. Okay, there's a ship. Why was the arrest of Alaweed and others important? How was Alaweed and Barack Obama tied to Huma, not Abedin, the Harvard University Muslim Association? Why did Alaweed finance BO? We went over this post just the other day, Shady.
You literally read this post the other day. BO is Barack Obama at the point that was before they started deconfusing it because people thought it meant board op.
Yep. Board owner.
Or board owner, yeah.
That was before he said Hussein. All right, so then it's at 125. Look at that. There's the looking out at the city. Air Force 15A PNG.
Very possible was
South Korea.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yep. And then this one here. So this is 1317, which is the actual timestamp. Why did Hussein travel ahead of POTUS? Okay. Reread drops today. JK and Iran. Important context for future news. Why is Hussein and John Kerry traveling worldwide and meeting with foreign heads of state, some enemies of the U.S.? Hillary Rodham Clinton and Bill Clinton flying under the radar, same unreported. Why? Two former presidents, Secretary of State's out of power authority racing around the world pre-post POTUS. Why? Unprecedented. The world is connected. The world is watching. Q.
Man, and then that hits the world is watching. Okay, so we were talking about world is watching posts yesterday.
Well, the whole world is watching.
The whole world is watching. That's right. Yeah. Okay.
So,
yep.
1,000. So he mentioned 1,000 in there, and this is why is Epstein spending $29 million to bury tunnels underneath the temple of Epstein Island? Problem: phones were allowed in. These people are stupid. HQ. Huh.
We couldn't have a better advertisement for who we are and what we are than what you're seeing right there. They've spent Roger Stone and General Flynn and company spent a lot of effort and time and people and sacrificed a lot of people's lives so that they could generate the optic that MAGA was violent, so that they could have a counter argument with these people over there that are trying to say that, oh, our violence is justified and your violence is not. No violence is justified. The violence at the Capitol was not justified. The moment that the police at the Capitol, if your mind, okay, whenever the police at the Capitol, if you're there and whenever the police started lobbing flashbangs and trying to control the crowd and push the crowd back, if your mind was to attack the police in that moment, what is the difference between what we're seeing right here with these Mexican people flying the Mexican flags? The operations are exact, guys. This is the point I'm making. The operations are exactly the same. They're not only the same operation, they have the same intent and they have the same leaders and they have the same people behind them. The globalists pushing for what is going on out there in southern LA and funding it are the same globalists pushing General Flynn, Alex Jones, and Patrick Byrne to fund what happened at the Capitol to make you look violent, okay? This is an advertisement for MAGA, what you're seeing in LA. Law and order is getting ready to be on the menu to purchase some. You as the American people are getting ready to stand in the gap to decide, do you want to go back to the Democrat hellhole that was before 2024, or do you want to continue with MAGA in 2026 whenever we have elections next year? Donald Trump is working at a breakneck speed so that he can make that decision very, very easy for millions more people.
Yeah. And it's funny you mentioned that because CNN argues why the National Guard wasn't deployed on January 6th. Ready? Let's watch this. Check it out.
We know why.
Always go back to January 6th and ask why weren't the National Guard called in then when police officers were being attacked?
I can tell you why. Hold on. I can tell you why. Go back to Nancy Pelosi's own words.
No. The president had an opportunity.
Because I think you're an honest man. Hold on. I want to go on first. True or false? Did they say to Nancy Pelosi that if you want to go ahead and bring in the National Guard and others, we will more than happy do that? And Nancy Pelosi was the one that said no.
The president
True or
fanned the
false?
flames in
True or
every
false?
January 6th?
Yes. Beforehand, they said we will give you the resources before January 6th, and she said no.
Every
Guys,
everybody, just 1 second. Let me just get everybody one at a time.
Am I right?
I want John to just answer that quick question.
The Capitol Police went to the architect of the Capitol and the sergeant at arms from both houses. The chief of the Capitol Police does not know who they went to, but let's assume they went to their political leader.
Oh, we know who he went to, you pompous freaking.
Said it this.
And
she said.
And that they said they didn't want the National Guard brought in. They wanted them on standby. The day of the riot, Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer are on the phone saying, can we get the National Guard?
All right, so he's like that. We don't know. So here is Chief Sund. Listen very closely again, guys. We have the sauce.
This sounds like somebody that knows.
It does.
Call him. I said, send me the National Guard as quick as you can. I'm going to get approval any minute. Because he asked, do you have approval from the Capitol Police Board? And I said, I'll have approval any minute. Please just get them coming this way. So they're within eyesight. Shortly after 2:09, I talked to them. 2:34, I get a notification to get on the call with the United States Pentagon. I have to sell my request for the National Guard. I'm on the call with a Lieutenant General Piat, trying to make sure I have his name pronounced right, and a General Flynn is on the call. And it's mainly Piat that I'm speaking with. I get on the call, Mayor Bowes is on the call, Chief Conte's on the call, and I said, I need the National Guard immediately. This is an urgent situation. I still remember saying urgent twice. This is urgent. And they got to be looking at the same TVs I'm looking at. I need the National Guard immediately. You know what his response is? Don't like the optics of the National Guard on Capitol Hill. All him, I said,
yeah, they needed to give more time to the insurrectionists that I think was planned, according to my thread with the General Flynn, Roger Stone, allegedly. Okay, I'm going to say allegedly. Roger Stone, General Flynn, okay, to Charlie, and all the rest. And now you got Enrique Tarrio and the scumbags over there suing your federal government for $100 million.
Yeah, for something that they've admitted to in their testimony. Every one of them, Biggs and all these other people, they admitted to doing this, exactly what they were accused of. They got sentences based on what they admitted to, but now they're the virtue signaling morons who act like that they have more value than you do. We're going to work our tails off to make sure that that they have the information that they need.
You want Enrique Tarrio, who did not work? He did not watch A Storm Foretold. Roger Stone ratted on their asses. Okay,
he did.
Roger Stone is what he calls himself. He's a self-proclaimed agent provocateur, Shady.
That's exactly right.
All right, let's just play it again. And you know what an agent provocateur is? It's defined like this: stirring chaos in politics. An agent provocateur is someone who provokes trouble, often inciting others to act recklessly or illegally to advance an agenda, then reports that person to the authorities. This is what Roger Stone admits to. Check it out. Period. Done. He's an agent provocateur, Shady.
Never not been. Do you understand that?
Yep. Yeah.
Always has been an agent provocateur.
Wow. Q Post 129. CIA is here. Pray. And, you know, he's going to Fort Bragg, which is heart of the PSYOPs, Shady Groove. And wow. We didn't see this one yesterday, Shady. This was a post here, 739. So let's go to 1939. 1939. Enter. Yep, talking about narrative shift. Look at that. We're talking about narrative shift right now. 5i. Wow. Flynn Intel. UK, Flynn Intel, 5i. Wow. Do you think that could be Flynn Intel Group, Shady Groove?
No, not sure.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, you know, they are the firewalls. They are the plan. They think that this is going to continue.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and right there, what Roger Stone, what you just said. I mean, I'd like to read you Earl Matthews' statement if I could, real quick. Can I read that to Loomer? Just
of course you can. Go. You don't have to ask.
You're
part of this show. Come on.
Oh man, well, if that's the case, I'm just gonna take my time. No.
Do it.
I want to read this so that it goes along with, you can share, maybe whatever. General Flynn this is not a fight that I asked for or welcomed, but rather one that was thrust upon me when your protege and close collaborator, Laura Loomer. Remember, we're talking about agent provocateurs. This is from Earl Matthews. He also called Brian Gamble specifically an agent provocateur.
Go ahead and let everybody know who Earl Matthews is in case they don't know.
This is Earl Matthews. This is the person who has testified. He was there. He testified in front of the congressional hearing explaining to the Congress that the reason for the stand down was exactly the same as what Mr. Sund said that you just played. He reiterated his testimony, verified his testimony with the exact same testimony from his experience. And this was Jack Poso, Laura Loomer, and all these people were attacking him. General Flynn was attacking him, acting like him saying the truth about what happened is some sort of a problem. He's responding to Laura Loomer here. Your protege and close collaborator, Laura Loomer, chose to publicly attack me and specifically mentioned your brother in the context of my January 6th testimony to the Loudermilk Committee. Interesting, if you would like to find a couple things, go to Ivan Ranklin's page and type in Loudermilk and watch how he obfuscates and tries to trick you into what that committee was and what this is. The Loudermilk Committee found that Army leaders intentionally delayed the deployment of the D.C. National Guard on J6 for reasons of, quote, optics. Although not in the chain of command, your brother, as our Army's chief operating officer, was very much involved in this delay. He later falsely testified to Congress that he played an active role in getting the D.C. National Guard to the Capitol. He played no such role. Your brother also falsely testified that that means lying under oath, guys, okay? This is not willy-nilly stuff. He's being accused of lying under oath that he played an active role in getting to the D.C. National Guard to the Capitol. Your brother falsely testified that he was not an active participant on a critical 2:30 p.m. telephone call, despite multiple people testifying under oath that he was. Liz Cheney's J6 committee knew about but ignored your brother's falsehood. Why would Liz Cheney ignore General Flynn's brother's testimony that being false and not prosecuting for that? Because that committee was squarely focused on targeting President Trump, who had nothing to do with the delay of the D.C. National Guard, as I stated in sworn testimony. Lastly, your protege falsely claims that I'm a disciple of Mark Milley. Laura Loomer was trying to say that Earl Matthews was a minion of Mark Milley. Earl Matthews has been appointed by Donald Trump to serve as the Department of Defense lead lawyer, which everyone in D.C. knows is ridiculous. I note for you that there was no officer in our Army closer to Mark Milley than Charlie Flynn, General Flynn's brother, General Charlie Flynn. Milley revived his career when it had stagnated, made him a G3 on the Army, and then advocated for his elevation to full general, personally asking acting Sec Def Chris Miller to make sure Charlie was nominated and promoted before Biden was inaugurated. I could say a great deal more if you'd like me to go on.
Wow.
I rest my case
Yeah.
about what happened on J6 and who created Roger Stone, agent provocateur, Brian Gamble, agent provocateur, Ivan Ranklin, agent provocateur, Woodland Norris, numbnut Cutler, agent provocateur, Tim I-70, agent provocateur. All of these people need to be called what they are. They are not American patriots. They are Roger Stone minion, Alex Jones minion, agent provocateur here set to make MAGA look violent.
Yep, exactly right.
And there's
Wow.
no way you could teach me, tell me, convince me of anything else, and none of your right-wing media will utter a single sentence of what the two of us have said here for the last 20 minutes.
That's
None
right.
of it. They won't talk about any of the stuff that Jeff was just explaining to you, any of the stuff that Steve's son testified, any of Earl Matthews' testimony, anything about Charlie Flynn and their cohort, Liz Cheney. It's not that crazy, is it, that Kamala Harris voters all of a sudden were excited to have the neocons, was it?
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow. Yeah, total wow, Shady. Real quick, just before we leave, I want to play one more video, Shady Grove, on Defense Secretary on the Hill today, who was confronted about the Marine National Guard deployment that Q told us about in 2017 and 18, Shady Grove.
It's been a minute.
Here we go. Let's check it out.
There's no need for the Marines to be deployed. So here are my budget questions, though. What is the current cost for what is taking place in California, and how is it going to affect this budget or the budget we're currently serving under? How much are these deployments going to cost for both the Marines and the National Guard? And what training or duties are not taking place because of these deployments? Where in your limited budget, sir, are you going to find, in the remainder of this fiscal year, are you going to pull the money to cover these deployments? What holes are being created?
Well, Congresswoman, thank you for the question. You are right. We are both originally from Minnesota, which is why I recall 2020 quite well, when Governor Walz abandoned a police precinct and allowed it to be burned to the ground, and also allowed 5 days of chaos to occur inside the streets of Minneapolis. The police precinct, ma'am, was abandoned and burned to the ground. And because of that, the National Guard was eventually far too late mobilized. And President Trump recognizes a situation like that, improperly handled by a governor, like it was by Governor Walz, if it gets out of control, is a bad situation for the citizens of any location. So in Los Angeles, we believe that ICE, which is a federal law enforcement agency, has the right to safely conduct operations in any state and any jurisdiction in the country, especially after 21 million illegals have crossed our border under the previous administration. ICE ought to be able to do its job, whether it's Minneapolis or Los Angeles.
I have limited time. I asked a budget
And they are
question.
being-
Could the Secretary please address the budget? Thank you.
You asked about the situation in Los Angeles, and we believe
asked about
ICE
the budget.
agents should be allowed to be
asked about
safe
the budget,
in doing
sir.
their operations, and we have deployed National Guard and the Marines to protect them in the execution of their duties, because we ought to be able to enforce immigration law in this country, unlike what Governor Walz did in 2020. There are 17,000 LAPD, you mentioned that. There would be 18,000 if not for the defund movement that folks like Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass have
Chairman,
implemented.
If
The police chief
if
said
Mr.
she was
Chairman, if
overwhelmed,
the Secretary is not
so we
going to
helped.
ask the budgetary questions, I will yield back my time if the Secretary refuses to answer the budgetary questions I put before him. They're important. What training missions aren't happening? Where are you pulling the money from? And how are you planning this in the moving forward? These are budget questions that affect this committee and the decisions we're going to be making in a couple of hours. If you're not going to answer them, please let the chairman know, and I will take back my time and I will yield it back to the chairman.
Mr. Secretary, I want to just let us know what accounts are you pulling the money to fund?
Thankfully, unlike the previous administration, we've got a 13% increase in our defense budget, and we will have the capability to cover down on contingencies, which is something the National Guard and the Marine plan for. So we have the funding to cover down on contingencies, especially ones as important as maintaining law and order in a major American city. As far as training, all of the units on the ground have been fully trained in their capabilities of what they're executing on the ground.
Wow. All right, Shady Grove, before we get out of here, I think I need a cup of coffee.
Ooh, I have one.
Wow. All right, so still haven't tried 1775 coffee? Now is your shot. The 1775 starter kit just dropped. Only 1,000 units. You're getting the bold, dark roasted. It's harder than a CNN fact check. The smooth, medium roast and the Vitality Mushroom coffee, for clean energy, guys, and laser focus. No crash. All single origin, small batch, toxin-free, mold-free. Plus, you're also getting a gold spoon clip because freedom isn't scooped with plastic. Frother strong enough to stir up your coffee and your mother's political opinions, and a black 1775 tumbler that says, I don't take life advice or caffeine from a woke sea witch. $170 worth of coffee gear and gear for yours today for $99. This is the ones for who have been watching 1775 blow up on Rumble, wondering if it's actually worth it. Spoiler alert, it is. Go to 1775coffee.com/studio. Grab your starter kit before they're gone. Bold beans, clean fuel, and a morning routine that stands for something, just like the MG Show does, and Rumble as well. Start your day with coffee that actually backs what you believe in. Shady Grove, what a great show.
Man, thank you guys so much. I mean, look at the length and the breadth and the depth of what we've just been.
There's no need.
We've been able to explain. We bring you live with Donald Trump talking. We bring you Kristi Noem's comments from yesterday. We bring you Tom Holmes' comments from yesterday, and we're bringing you Pete Hegseth's testimony from right now. You're hearing from Donald Trump, guys. The reason that we're doing what we're doing here, the reason that what we're doing here is aggravating other people, is because you're not going to see this on the other channels. They've got too many narratives they need to get into your brain. It's for you to be listening to Pete Hegseth or Kristi Noem or Tom Homan about what's really happening in there. They got to convince you that Donald Trump was the president the whole time and that he brought these 20 million people here. God bless you, everybody. I appreciate you so greatly. Thank you, Jeff, so much for being here.
Thank you,
Shady.
Shady.
We're going to be back tomorrow because it's going to be every day at the MG Show is a Trump day.
Trump Day. Sandy Star White, I love the MG Show, X's and O's. We love you too, Sandy Star White. God bless you. Mickey B says another great show, $10 Rumble rant. Remember, we need your rants, and we're just going to go out with a quick one. California screaming. Here we go.
It's a fact. It's happening.
See peaceful protests.
Most of those demonstrations were very peaceful.
It is just a bunch of people having fun watching cars burn.
All the leaves are brown, all the leaves are brown, and the sky is gray, and the sky is gray. I came for walking for a walk on a winter's day. I'd be safe and walking, safe and warm if I was in LA. If I was in LA, California dream.
I love it. www.mg.show. Boom.